may disagree like they did in 2022, 2 years later, or 2.5 years later, they can agree. And once they agree in an ODM UDA deal, appointments are made, like happened on Thursday last week. There were broad-based appointments that we saw 14 new principal secretaries, 7 new state departments, of course, coming at a cost. I don't know why, Jeffrey Wandeto, you're so thrilled.
You know, Sam, I have said this and I'll say it again.
Yep.
You know, that we've been taken through some circus and told that this is a matter of uniting the country. I'm happy when I hear the senator here castigate the lopsided attempt at, giving more money to us in Gishu. Maybe the intention was to have ODM join and then keep quiet so that this can continue. And I'm happy ODM is not asleep. But no, when we keep being told that this is about unity, uniting the country, I find it strange because when Raila and Ruto meet, it is called unity. And it is branded unity, and the headlines will say unity. But when Kalonzo meets with Rigathi Gachagua and Wamalwa and even Senator Onyonka, who came to represent Matiang'i, then when a photo is taken, suddenly this is tribalism. And it's the same thing that's happening even in these appointments.
Yep.
I will talk about Mount Kenya South, where I come from. We had 2 cabinet secretaries in this regime. Now we have only 1.
Wait a minute. You come from Mount Kenya South?
Mount Kenya South, yes.
What is all that?
Mount Kenya South.
What is that?
I'm from Mount Kenya South.
I'm from Mount Kenya South.
It's
from Machakos County.
He's trying to...
So now
the whole of Ukambani, Sam, is actually called Mount Kenya South.
We are south of Mount Kenya.
These 2 guys are Kambas, eh? They are just trying to woo the Mount Kenya votes. Listen, let's focus on things of building the country.
That's exactly what I'm doing. So now we had 2 cabinet secretaries. Now we have 1. The northern part of Nyanza had, I think, 1 or 2. Now suddenly they have a lot more.
Yeah.
Now, is that what we call unity? I mean, the minute you talk about one region getting more slots than another, is that what this thing is about? Is that what this broad-based arrangement is all about? So I think, in my opinion, we are being led down a narrow path so that we can concentrate there. But the real intention is for people to position themselves for 2027 to capture political power again. And I think that's what is really happening in this country. We are being told that we are uniting people, but the intention, and I can say this, that if you look at all the actions of the head of state, there is nothing he is doing to improve the fortunes of Kenyans. Everything he's doing is about himself. He's focusing on 2027. He's interested in being re-elected, and that is why you never find him in the office. All the photographs you see, in fact, you're running out of photos of the president in office. The photographs of the president that you have now is on top of a 4-wheel guzzler, talking to people outside some place in the city of Nairobi.
Honestly, Mheshimiwa Mbui,
no, that's not. Let me just...
That is the truth.
Have I not seen pictures of the president working from State House?
Sam, we pay the president to stay in State House. Look at Article 131 and 132. It talks about the functions of the president. He spends more time campaigning out there than he spends in the office running the government. That is a reality. He spends more time. A lot of the time, almost all the comments I hear the president make, he's making them when it's outside there. Not on a written speech in the public, in the office that he has been given by Kenyans. So unfortunately, the whole of these arrangements, these appointments, all of this is self-preservation for 2027. Nothing about all these things is to do with Kenyans and the common man. And let me tell you the reason I'm saying this is that even the origin was a minute when the young people, the Kenyans that this country belongs to, when they came out in large numbers to the streets and said enough is enough and the political class will not continue messing up the country. The minute that happened, the unity was formed. Unity of politicians against the youth.
All right, and we'll be looking at the opinion pieces on pages 13 of the Daily Nation and page
you'll allow me to respond.
Yes, you will. Page 12 of the Standard, and there's an interesting story on page 13 of the Daily Nation. Raila, Ruto packed an ethnic rejoinder. They are saying that youth have continued to volubly express their displeasure with the president and Raila at public meetings. It's Komchetsi Makoha writing. Also, it's fascinating that we now have a new region called Mount Kenya South.
Very interesting.
You'll tell us, you'll unpack that for us, because I've not had that before, apart from when you're talking about perhaps the SEK Church, which has, is it regions or dioceses in that category?
Diocese,
Mheshimiwa Wandeto,
Yes, please.
so these principal secretaries, the nominees that you see, what do you think it's geared towards? And are you seeing names that are really going to help the president deliver on the manifesto?
Some, first of all, it's good we deal with the cost of these additional principal secretaries. There are 7 in number. Officially, they'll tell you it costs about 7-8 million to sustain one PS. The official figure is that would be anything between 50 and 100 million a year. Okay, when you look at the allowances, you look at the travel, because all these PSs can tell you immediately they will be all over the world. Okay, most of them have been out there in the political cold, and now it will be their time to move around and go to every little conference around every corner. So it's going to cost us anything between 50 and 100 million per person. So this is another 700 million added. You know, just in a government that says it has no money, you know, in a country where we are saying we are struggling with healthcare and things like that. But moving on, you know, from that.
Sorry, back to the cost of 50 to 100 million. How are you calculating that?
So I'm looking at it from salaries.
The salary is 792,000.
Allowances.
The allowances are how much?
You have a bodyguard or 2 bodyguards, driver. We get them a new Prado, all of them. If you see any of the new model Prados, they are all government and they are all owned by, they are all being driven by PSs. They will get, I think, a 30 million mortgage.
35.
35. There will be a 10 million medical cover.
That's a loan.
Yeah, it's a loan, but it would have gone to buy medicine. Okay, but we are giving it to them temporarily. Then they pay it slowly. Okay, there will be, of course, the travel. The travel is actually local travel, accommodation, subsistence, international travel. The truth sum, you know, it's an expensive.
It is 50 to 100.
All I'm trying to say is that maintaining a PS is not a cheap affair. It's anything between 50 and 100 million shillings a year. But we should actually be discussing reducing the number of state departments. I am actually told there's an IMF recommendation to take them to 40. Okay, now we are at 57. Okay. And these are some of the things that are making us be at loggerhead with IMF over some of these funding agreements. But the more important thing is this is the 3rd reconfiguration of President William Ruto's government since June 25th. The 3rd one. And this does not speak very nice things. It shows a level of instability. It shows that we have not settled the country to start working. The second one is that, again, this is an attempt to take back the country into what I would call default settings, especially in terms of ethnic mobilization of our politics. Actually, what they are calling unity is the exact opposite. What we have realized is that the Mount Kenya vote, including the Mount Kenya West, Mount Kenya South vote, has bolted. That horse has bolted. And to now mobilize Kenyans ethnically, we have to bring especially the Luo nation. Lendama and his group, to be honest, I say this with a lot of respect, they actually flower girls and page boys in this arrangement. Let's be honest. Okay? We know where the real deal is, where the numbers are. The numbers are for Luo Nyanza.
Flower girls.
And those are the ones that are being chased. So this is a serious attempt, again, to reconfigure, to take the country back to ethnic mobilization in readiness for 2027. The 3rd one, it is to also give an opportunity to a few more people to extract rent in terms of corrupt deals, so that they can ready their war chest for 2027.
Who are those people?
Just the people who have been added on all sides. Have you heard people saying power is sweet? Now we are at the table. Now is our turn. Now we are now we are okay. Why are people celebrating when one of their own is made as a PS or a CS? So okay,
you said that they're here to rent seek and also to collect rent and benefit from corrupt deals. What does that say about those people that have been in there?
That's why some are finding the same names. Occasionally, same names getting. It's part of the recycling. People are being given an opportunity because some of these people are supposed to run as governors, as senators, as MPs, as whatever, and others are also supposed to be financially strong to support 2027.
I'm asking those people, because these are not the first principal secretaries to ever serve or to ever be nominated. There are principal secretaries that are serving. There are cabinet secretaries who've been serving, including some that come from your region. Does that mean that's what they've been doing?
Sam, I will not answer that question.
Why?
For you, because you are a Kenyan.
I'm asking you.
And you know
so
as much as I do.
People go to government for corruption.
As much as I do that corruption is a serious issue in this country.
And that's what...
And a lot of people are actually... The reason why people fight for these positions is so they have an opportunity to go and loot. Others will not be discussing corruption here. Who is spearheading corruption in this country, if not the leaders? But finally, Sam, to move on from that, my fourth item is that this one is an attempt to decommission the Gen Z movement. There has been serious dismantling of the Gen Z movement since it happened on June 25th, and this one continues. And one of the things you are going to see now is that they may start picking a few. You've seen some of these Gen Z people have been, I don't know, one of them is, I don't know, youth leader for the youth wing leader for this, youth wing, and because this is the movement that worried the government most, okay? And this movement somehow needs to be decommissioned at all costs. Lastly, the Mount Kenya vote, which was very, very critical in terms of propping this government, and is the one that propelled President William Ruto to power through a 47% contribution. So 47% is gone. And of course, we also have very many angry Kenyans, whether they come from even his own backyard, who possibly in 2027 are saying, based on what we have experienced, we are not going that route again. So there is a serious realignment of political mathematics going on. And I can tell you, this may not be the last reconfiguration we are seeing. Can
I just respond a little bit?
Just a moment. Assuming that is true, is there a problem with that?
Well, politics about mobilization. The problem is, at what cost is it coming to the country? It is coming at a huge cost in terms of the taxpayers' money. It is coming at a huge cost in terms of misplaced priorities. Okay, it is coming at a huge cost in terms of the direction the country is taking. Now, we had a UDA manifesto, okay? Now we have a section of Azimio who have come. Now we don't even know what we are running. We don't even know what is our agenda. We don't even know where we are going. So we are completely lost. We had a 4-point agenda, a five-point agenda in terms of our manifesto. Now I don't know whether we are running the ODM manifesto. ODM seems to be...
Much more undertow.
Sorry?
Are you still keen on it, the 5-point agenda?
Of course, I'm a member of UDA. I want to see the UDA government succeed. We have been hijacked by these guys.
Now, listen, let me...
Narok to Kajiado to the remotest corner of this country.
So if you had, where is it?
Hold on. So when Ledama here raises the issue of Ziwa having 500 million, it's because he does not understand our plan. So, and this is the challenges we are having.
The plan?
You know, the plan is, there's a proper plan on how to accelerate our healthcare. So he may not be an expert as to why 500 million was allocated here and maybe 20 million.
It's a sub-county hospital.
It is based on some need.
It's not quantum
but now,
physics.
this is a tragedy of hijackers.
Defending this government has even affected...
I'm not defending my friend. I am not defending...
It's always been very well spoken.
I'm not defending the government.
I've heard him stammer quite a bit today, and that's not usual. You know, I think speech pattern might be affected by this government.
My friend, let me. No. I cannot allow that. Listen, Sam.
You get a chance to
I have a dental issue, so you cannot be able to say that. Do you want me to show you?
So today is, okay. I think it was Kenya Kwanza that was affecting.
No, it's my...
But anyway, you know, let me say this. Expansion of government always makes a cost of running government expensive. And of course, you know that at the end of the day, in order to support the expanded government, it means that we have to dig deeper into our pockets. And so I'm just saying that I hope as we're going into the next finance bill, there will not be any attempt to increase any taxation, because then we can clearly see where the money is going. If you're expanding government because you want to create offices for people, then Kenyans are definitely going to resist this. And I'm telling you, it won't be business as usual. Secondly, you know, these regime is the one regime that has consistently appointed PSs from the political class. If you look at all previous regimes, PSs were technocrats, serious people that were bureaucrats and people running government business. And then only the ministers would be the ones that come from the political class. Now you are seeing a lot of politicians being appointed to be PSs. That obviously means that the whole process is now a political process. It's self-survival, self-preservation, has nothing to do with service delivery. Because why is it that suddenly after the Gen Z uprising and after the rejection of the finance bill, suddenly the president sees that he needs to create more offices? Remember, there was an attempt to create offices of CASs that Uhuru had done. And the courts threw out that proposal. A lot of Kenyans, a lot of people had already been appointed by the current president to be CASs. Yeah. But they were waiting for approval by the courts. The courts threw it out. So he's still looking for ways to ensure that all his cronies are still supported by government, which is not right, which is not fair. But then I want to just also say that Senator here has made a comment about the budget. And then he has implied that as we complain, we will not be able to scrutinize the budget. That is, there's nothing further from the truth than that. Because it is in the understanding of the risks that we are facing and the problems and the challenges Kenyans are facing that we scrutinize the budget. And I will tell him that the budget is actually a process of the National Assembly, not Senate. It is a job of the National Assembly to deal with the budget. And that is, the cycle has now started. We are dealing with it. And all these things that he's talking about, we will be able to unpack them. We'll be able to deal with them. We'll be able to sort them out. Because at the end of the day, this thing of presidential directives is what has taken Kenya where we are. You remember after the last election, a lot of members of our coalition rushed to State House. And they were asked, what are you doing there? This is our adversary. We are supposed to be dealing and we are supposed to be oversighting them. Okay. And they told us that they've gone there because they're looking for development projects. That's the same attitude I'm hearing here. That people, we work together with the government. We can be able to share what is there. We will make those decisions as a National Assembly. We will make sure that projects are done across the country so that there is no favoritism. And this unity of politicians, Sam, I'm telling you, that is what gives the executive power, so that they can be able to run roughshod over the rest of us. Right. That is the reality. That is a fact. That the minute that all these bigwigs, political bigwigs, come together, then you give the executive power so that they can be able to put 500 million in a hospital in their place. And I'll tell you, we'll make noise here. ODM members will talk here. But when they get a call from their boss, they will shut up and that hospital will still get the 500 million. Because they will not be able to say no. We will say no because we still remain the people's, loyal opposition. But finally, Sam, I'd made a comment about the president's tours earlier, and I saw Senator was very uncomfortable. I want to advise that as we go forward, let us reduce these tours that the president is doing around the country. It is not unifying the country. We've talked about the roles that he has. One of the things that he's doing which is wrong is every time he goes all over the place, people are left there, wanton destruction takes place, people are robbed, the youth that have been mobilized to attend those functions, they will only be paid for that one day, but the next day they're still unemployed. Okay. So we are creating a situation which makes the country ungovernable. Now I know there's an attempt to go to central Kenya. I don't know whether it is a positive thing to do. Maybe this is a time we should sit back, have cabinet meetings, meet with these technocrats and figure out how to make the fortunes of Kenyans better. But going out on a campaign trail is not helping the country.
All right. I want us to transition because we are closing shortly. The editorial page on page 13 of the Daily Nation, you'll see an interesting editorial cartoon there. There looks to be a red carpet. There's a vehicle being driven by someone wearing a cap or a hat. Then there's some what looks like angry birds. I don't know. I don't know which birds these are. They're vultures. And there's some money. It looks like money being held by, or money flowing or something like that. And then there's a barrier, looks like a mountain.
The mountain, actually.
It's a mountain, yeah?
That's Mount Kenya.
Well, what do you make of that, Mheshimiwa Ndeto?
I think this editorial cartoon talks about, from my understanding, I think it talks about the president's visit to Mount Kenya. I think let me start by saying that...
What is the place of the vultures?
I'll try and explain. I may not be able to explain everything, but I can see some symbols. I can see the mountain. I can see red carpet. So those are
So hold it.
Mountain, power symbols.
Yeah.
So I think Lendama can explain to us, maybe he will assist us what the vouchers are.
So hold it. Let's take a look.
I'm not from Mount Kenya, my friend. If you have vultures who want to...
Sorry, let's take a look at what is on page 12 of the Standard. There's another one. This looks like an impression of the president. Why am I developing cold feet? Behind him is what looks like
The mountain.
The mountain.
Mountain.
So combining those two, tell us about their cold feet in Mount Kenya, what are south for you?
Sam, first of all, of course, it's in the public domain that the president will be visiting Mount Kenya.
Is there a date now?
I'm not aware of one. I'm also picking it just like you from the papers, but I've had it could be the first week of April. Let me say that we welcome the president because as the president of the Republic of Kenya, just like any other citizen, he has a right to visit any part of this country.
Right.
So that is guaranteed by the Constitution. Number two is to maybe just say that as he visits, he's probably going to be meeting people with a lot of questions. Unhappy people who will have a lot of questions for him.
Yeah.
And maybe some of the questions, or maybe some of the things that he should be prepared to explain is obviously what the Mount Kenya people did wrong to him. So that even after giving him 37% of the vote and propelling him to leadership, he saw it fit to disenfranchise them in the manner that he has continued to disenfranchise them. The expulsion of the deputy president, the removal of MPs from powerful positions in parliament, and some of the very many of our people who continue to be removed or asked to leave their positions in government. But more importantly, the people will be asking him about the projects that he promised them. Quite a number of projects have stalled. If I talk about my own constituency of Tetu, we had the Ihide Donyonjero Road, which continues to be stuck. We have the Mau Lot 3 roads, which are really progressing at a snail speed. We have things that he had promised us, like a level 4 hospital and very many other things. So there will be a lot of questions about projects.
Will you be there?
I'll come to that, Sam. But one of the things we hope that the president will not do, one of the things that we hope the president will not do is that he is not going to commission projects that have already been commissioned, and he is not going to launch projects that are not complete. For example, the Keno Sagana Marua Road was already commissioned by President Uhuru Kenyatta, and it's not yet complete. So we wait until it's complete.
Commission means what?
Groundbreaking. Let me use the word groundbreaking versus commissioning. I think is when it's complete. I think that's the right one. So we hope there will be no these groundbreaking ceremonies of projects where groundbreaking has happened before, either by him or by someone else, and that we are also not going to be launching incomplete projects.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
or inspection.
That is okay. And lastly, Sam, we saw what we saw we saw the issues Boy was talking about, what we saw in Nairobi.
Yeah.
Okay. Where after the president leaves, people are being mugged, people are being harassed.
Yeah.
And we saw it yesterday. We saw the precursor to that yesterday. Yesterday, I attended ACK St. Peter's Cathedral in Nyeri, and who are inaugurating the third bishop of Mount Kenya West. And there were hired goons from Nairobi who came and they blocked us from leaving the cathedral. And they even stoned some vehicles. They even destroyed property. So we are fearing that he may come and then we find all these things happening. So, you know.
But he can come with beefed up security, isn't it, to protect the citizens?
Actually, we are really asking our people, be careful to go to those meetings. Probably don't carry your phone, don't carry a handbag, don't carry any money. But we really would hope that there will be beefed up security. Because we don't know.
Deputy Minority Leader at the National Assembly. Good morning, Mheshimiwa.
Morning, Sam, and morning, viewers.
How is the recess?
Well, just 1 week into the recess, 1 week to go, and we are back in business.
Yeah.
But Sam, even recess is really a serious working time for members of parliament. This is the time you have to meet your people. This is the time you open, visit projects that are going on in the constituency. So it's really a tough time for all of us, yes.
Interesting times. But also, we've been seeing a bit of activity in the churches. but no speeches. Have you been affected?
You know, Sam, I'm one of those politicians who doesn't like using the church for political reasons. And I've said it in the show severally.
Yeah.
I think NCCK have done a very great thing, saying that we shouldn't be politicizing the pulpit. I think that's a noble thing.
Right.
Members of the political class should respect the church.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. And of course, you're expecting the
Kenyans can trust. Because, you know, elections are extremely emotive, and it's basically one of those things that, in many people's opinion, it's a do or die situation. So we looking at how past elections have been held and the kind of controversies that have come out of those elections. Remember 2007, when immediately after the election there was post-election violence in, you know, the whole of 2008, until foreigners had to come and bring Kenyans together. And all that because the election was fairly bungled by the person that was running the show. You know that 2013, 2017, even the last 2020, the recent one of 2022 has had, you know, a lot of question marks. So basically, we need to have a person that is acceptable. Now, in the agreement that was signed recently by, you know, UDA and ODM. Remember, one of the first things they said is that they have to fully implement the NADCO report. Yep. Now, in the NADCO report, there is an element that talks about the person that will become the chair of IBC. And it says that the I would say the two leaders from the opposite sides, and I'm using the word opposite because one was from UDA, the other one was, or rather Kenya Kwanza, the other one was from Azimio.
Right.
The two leaders have to agree on the person that will become the chair of IBC. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know how this is going to happen because the two leaders are now on one side. Mm-hmm. You know, and we are on the other side. We are not in that coalition or that arrangement or that broad-based, you know, deal. So what happens when the two of them who are on the same side settle on a candidate for chair? And yet they've said we fully implement NADCO. NADCO had two different opposing sides. Suddenly, you know, the leader that was of Azimio is on the side of the leader of Kenya Kwanza. So what happens to the rest of us who are still in Azimio and who believe that we also have to have a voice? Mm-hmm. I want to propose that when they get to that point, they must open up that discussion and allow other people to also participate in making a decision on who becomes the chair. Otherwise, from the beginning, Sam, it will already look, you know, you know, skewed against some players in the political space. So I think the spirit of the NADCO report was that there would be two opposing teams. Mm. One team would have a person of the president making a decision. The other team now would have another person, probably Kalonzo Musyoka or another one from that side that can make that decision on an agreement about who becomes the chair of IBC, so that we can all go into an election when we are comfortable, and we can be sure that the result of that will be announced to be the wish of the Kenyan people.
But let me ask you, that sort of requirement that you state, that the president and Raila Odinga will have to agree on who becomes the chair, is it captured anywhere in law? Or it
is not in law, but you see, those are some of the things that we've always been fighting about. Remember, every election comes out with serious disputes, and the reason is that one of the sides believes that the leadership of IBC is skewed against them. So that's why in the NADCO report, and I'm saying that the agreement, the broad-based agreement, the first thing they talked about in the 10-point agenda was that they fully implement NADCO. And the full implementation of NADCO means that the two protagonists, the two people that are competing against each other, in essence, the Azimio side and the Kenya Kwanza side, they must agree on who becomes the chair. Now, the question I'm asking is, what happens now that the two leaders are on the same side and, you know, the Azimio...
To all our viewers, the issue of IEBC is a very important one because Kenyans, every electoral cycle, we see the demand for a free, fair, and verifiable election. And to achieve free and fair elections, I think it starts by getting the right IEBC team. And I think this is where this is what I see like over and over again, we don't seem to be getting it right. First of all, almost all the commissions that have been formed either out of a crisis or a lot of back and forth contention. Now here we have a situation whereby we've lost nearly 2 years, without a chair. We have, as we speak, about I think 3 constituencies without members of parliament. We have a number of wards without representatives. I think we have now a county without a senator. So it is very, very important that that we get it right. But moving back, Sam, if you remember the election of 2022, one of the things that came out of the NADCO report was the need for what they were calling electoral justice. Okay, and you remember Bui and his team that time, pushing for opening of servers, pushing for recounting of votes and things like that. So it is very, very important, Sam, that this time we get in 2027 we get elections that will be conclusive, because we don't seem to be concluding elections in this country. Actually, up to now, if you sit with maybe Laila Odinga here, he doesn't believe the 2022 elections are over, because there's still some pending work on opening of servers, and there is still some pending work on, on this and this. Right now we are arguing who is the minority and the majority party. Right. Again, because we don't seem to be concluding elections. So how can we ensure that we bring in a commission that is going in 2027 to ensure that when Kenyans go to the ballot, first of all, that Kenyans will elect leaders through the ballot. Today we see a lot of extra democratic means of bringing leaders. That's why sometimes people have been saying, oh, the election has been stolen, or there was Cambridge Analytica in the back end who was providing some extra support. How can we ensure that the vote of the Kenyan counts, and that it is the final votes that are counted that actually tell us who is our president, who is our governor, who is our senator, our member of parliament, our woman rep, and our MCAs at all levels. So what we need to do to get it right? First of all, we need to get men and women of integrity. That is why it is called the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Articles 81, Articles 88 of the Constitution guarantee that independence. Very, very important. Number 2, let us ensure that we get that this process is actually conducted in a free and fair manner, because the IEBC cannot conduct free and fair elections if it in itself was not brought in through a free and fair process. So what the issues that my colleague here, Honorable Bui, my senior, was raising here are very important. Is it a backroom deal that we are working on to bring the current commissioners, or is it indeed an open, verifiable process that we are going to go through? And there's a lot of work, Sam, that needs to be done once we get the right commissioners. We need to clean up the register. Already we are told that more than 1 million, I don't know, 1 million plus dead voters are still in that register. Okay? We need to get the technology right. Every time we are told the KIMS kit is not working, or the transmission is not working, or the servers are not working. There's so much we need to get right from a technology point of view, from a registration point of view, from organizing elections point of view. And I think the test for this commission, and we are all wishing them well, the test for this commission will be the by-elections. The way they conduct the by-elections that are pending once they come in is what is going to give us hope as Kenyans, whether in 2027 we are going to expect free and fair elections.
Right, and
proper is when people are given an opportunity, citizens are given an opportunity to send the memoranda and issues, raise issues about I would say the integrity of those, those that are vying for these positions. And I'm happy that apparently quite a number of Kenyans have already sent their opinions. Many times there are those that will send opinions in support, but also there are those that will raise concerns about the viability of these individuals to hold that office. So basically, I'm happy that the process is being done in a transparent manner. I would like that if it were possible, all the memoranda be publicized so that we can be able to see them, because many times the interviewing panels would have the information, but the public don't have it. And a few individuals who may have raised concerns may not be sure whether their issues are addressed. So it's important that they make public every issue that has been raised about these individuals. But then, Sam, if you allow me to just go back a little bit on the general comments that we're making on the IEBC. you know, one of the biggest fears that Kenyans have is the possibility of a rigged election. And rigging does not necessarily take place at the polling station. Many times rigging is done even in advance. If you look at some of the activities and utterances from some of our leaders, they are really of a major concern. One of the ways by which you can rig is to have people that don't qualify to be voters voting. And you've had comments coming from some of our leaders about, opening up, registration of persons in the northeastern frontier. We are worried that in the process, other than the legitimate Kenyans, there might be, attempts to have people that are not even citizens being registered as Kenyans so that they can be able to participate in the next election. And that is quite worrying, Sam. And I'm just saying that is a concern that we have. We are also concerned that just recently when the youth were up in arms against the government, a charge of a few hundred shillings was imposed on the issuance of ID cards. And, and in fact, a charge of about 2,000 shillings for any lost ID card. And that to me was also quite suspicious because that was coming at a time when the government was completely having a major fight with the youth. Now, I am aware that it has now been withdrawn. But it is strange, it has been withdrawn the minute we opened up the northern frontier. So could it be that it is an attempt to get many more people registered? So I'm going to, when we go to Parliament, I'm going to insist that we keep an eye on the voter register, that we get a periodic report on the voter register so that we look at the numbers, because Kenyans, I've had people from Northeastern saying, well, we are going to give birth, we'll not stop giving birth. I will attribute this to the Honorable C.S. Duale. Duale has said it several times that, you will not stop us, we'll have as many children as we can. But you know what? Even the Kambas are having children, even the Kikuyus are having children, even the Luyas are having children, even the Luos are continuing to have children, even the Maasai. So if we look and see that there's an unfair increase in numbers in one particular region, then we are going to call it out. So we will keep an eye on the voter register from now up to 2027, so that no monkey business is applied on the numbers, so that it favors certain individuals in the next election.
You suspect that there are non-Kenyans who will become voters?
The minute they made it easy for people to get ID cards in the northern frontier, the reason why for the longest time there was serious vetting was because that was always a risk. That was always a risk. Some, it's not a new thing. There was a risk of people from Somalia registering as Kenyans across the border. And so we imposed some severe way of checking to make sure that the people that we are giving ID cards are Kenyans. So when we lift that suddenly, and we are lifting it at a point when we have a regime that is extremely unpopular with the Kenyan public, then clearly there is fear in some of us that could be an attempt to open up the voter register that side and register more people from outside.
But don't you think Kenyans deserve a more efficient process of getting IDs?
Yes, the Kenyans do deserve. And I'm telling you this, I'm telling you, even some people from the same region are concerned.
Yep.
Yeah, because you see, what will happen is that they also want to have their resources for themselves, not from our border, our neighbors across the border. So the process has to be, I'm not saying it shouldn't be efficient. Let it be as efficient as possible, but let there be some kind of vetting to be sure that the people that are getting ID cards are not from outside the country. That is what I'm saying. The reason it was imposed from long ago is not because of the Kenyans living in Northeastern. It's not because of the Kenyan Somalis. It is because of the Somalis from outside Kenya that were trying to register as Kenyans so that they could get Kenyan ID cards and get benefits as Kenyans, which they are not.
Senator Leda Molekina, good morning.
Good morning. IBC is the one that collects and puts together the report, isn't it? And so therefore the chair should just declare the report that has come from the commission.
Correct.
Unfortunately, in this case, we are hearing a situation where the chair unilaterally, without anybody's approval, without the commission's agreement, goes and declares. I think the constitution is right. I think the declaration must come from, what we must make clear is it has to come from an agreement that is already made by the commission, because the commission is not the chair.
So it was the conduct of the boardroom itself that
was the
issue.
The problem is, yes.
And Sam, I think the issues that Nama is raising here are very valid. First of all, it confirms what I was saying earlier, that the elections of 2022 are not over. They may be over legally, but they're not over in people's minds. And that's why it's very important that we have conclusive elections. So I agree that as much as the Constitution talks about the chair declaring,
yes,
what is the backup process towards that declaration? I think what we saw is a chair can easily leave his house in the morning, call some people somewhere at the corner, and say Sam Getuku is our new president.
It's simple.
Okay, so how do we then go back to the IEBC Act? And I guess maybe that was part of the spirit of the NADCO report. How do we go back to the IEBC Act and strengthen the procedures